Hey folks, Mike Huber, lead columnist, team hitting specialist, Moneyball Hitter Magazine. Thanks for joining me today. Today we're talking about the Los Angeles Angels and some interesting things about the Angels and their hitting team. And they're ranked 6th in the major leagues in hitting, and which is pretty formidable. Their team batting average is 259, which, remember, it used to be 267, the league average. So 259 is almost like 8 points less than that. So to me, this is very average, but it is 6th right now in the major leagues. Major leagues being the worst hitting stats since 1972. And a 406 slugging percentage, which is really high. Okay. These numbers are good enough to get into the playoffs, and are hardly good enough to make a run through the playoffs, which the Angels did not this year. But they've got a pretty good hitting team up and down the lineup. Some hitters: Mike Trout, obviously MVP, 287, 36 home runs. All right, what's his second or third year in the league? I think maybe third. You know, Angels would not be a good hitting team without him. Let's put it that way. Cole Calhoun, I would consider another star player. Remember, I would like at least 4 star players in my lineup. Cole Calhoun, 272, 17 homers. You hit over 270 and hit over 15 home runs. I'll consider you a star player in this day and age. And Pujols had a decent year, 272 with 28 home runs. Okay, so I named the batting average and the amount of home runs. Usually, when you have a good amount of home runs, your slugging is pretty good. That means you're probably hitting, a certain percentage of your hits are at least extra base hits or home runs. Okay, so a good major leaguer actually hits between 25 to 30% of his hits are extra base hits. And I'm sure Trout, Calhoun, and Pujols are right there with that. And the Angels have some role player hitters, chip-in hitters as I like to call them. So if you got your 3 or 4 star players, you need some role players that are pretty good. We got Howie Kendrick, 293, 7 home runs, almost a star player. If you hit 293, you're a really high-end chip-in player. Eric Abar, 278, 7 home runs. Josh Hamilton, 263, 10 home runs. He was hurt a part of the year, but he has not looked good in the last year and a half. And we're going to discuss him and try to figure out what's going on with him. So those are 3 other guys that are pretty formidable. And we've got a Grant Green. He hits 273, 1 home run. 273 is not bad, but not really scaring anybody in the lineup. Let's put it that way. So they got 6 or 7 guys in the lineup that can hit. They got 3 or 4 other guys that are 250 hitters and should not be in the major leagues, basically, that are in the lineup. Okay? And there are much better hitting teams in this league that have, 7 to 8 guys in the lineup that can do some damage, and they only have 6, and it makes a big difference. Okay? It makes a big difference. And then this David Freese, who I think the Cardinals screwed him up before he left the Cardinals. I don't know which hitting coach screwed him up, but he has never been the same. 261 home run. He's on his way out of the major leagues. So he hasn't been able to figure out his swing, and he was almost a superstar with the Cardinals for a long while, and then he lost his swing. Okay, or the connection to his swing, or maybe he thought he was doing something with his swing that he shouldn't have been doing. I don't know, but something went wrong, definitely. Okay. So are they a Moneyball hitting team? I'm going to give them the yes, but just barely. Just barely. Okay? Good enough if they had a really good pitching staff, good enough to get in the playoffs and take a run at it. And, you know, they've been getting in the playoffs, so they did last year, so can't say anything here. Now, of course, when you get Trout and you get Pujols, you get two superstar hitters like that, your team batting average is going to go up and whatnot. So they've had Pujols and Trout for the last couple of years. They used to be ranked 15th in the MLB, and they quickly climbed. Even 2 years ago, they were the #1 hitting team in the whole entire league. Okay? Since then, 2 to 3 years ago, I think it was 3 years ago, since then, they've climbed down 10 points. Okay? And Don Baylor came in 3 years ago. So ever since Don Baylor has come in, they've gone down 10 points in their team batting average and their slugging percentage. So they've gone down 20 points total. That's not good. It's not a good sign. Okay? And we can't blame it on Don Baylor, because Don Baylor is, in fact, one of those stand-in hitters from the 70s and 80s. Okay? He does not know much about the mechanics of the swing. He kind of, he's an icon type of guy to have in the dugout. He always has been. He always will be. He's everybody loves him. He's a nice guy. His health's not doing good. He can't really get in there in the cages and really work with the guys or anything like that. And he just never was that mechanical hitting coach type of guy. Just never was. But he doesn't hurt anybody, and he really doesn't help anybody. Okay? So let's make that clear, and I know that for sure. Now, he does have some assistant coaches. So throughout the major leagues now, that hitting's been going down, and general managers have noticed that, they want the assistant coach or the assistant to the assistant hitting coach. So the Angels have 3 guys. Okay? And if you're ever a hitting coach out there, you don't want anybody else messing with your hitters. Okay? But Don Baylor really doesn't care. He's just there. He wants to be around the guys. Okay? So their hitting coaches that they have now are Paul Sorrento, who's been a hitting coach for like almost 2 years. That's it. He went through the minor leagues for about a year, and then he was a coordinator, a hitting coordinator, I believe, for the Angels, and now he's up in the major leagues. Now, if you are in hitting, and you are a hitting coordinator, it means you really got your hands on these guys, and you're digging deep, and it's a juicy type of job. Usually you love to do it because you get to work with a lot of different guys, and then you can see how much they're improving, or if they're not improving, you don't want to see it. Okay? So if you're a coordinator, usually, you want to go up to the major leagues only for the money, but once you get up there, especially when you're with a couple of other hitting coaches, you're not doing anything. You're not doing much. Okay, so I don't know what Sorrento's role with the Angels is, or how he works with the hitters, but they hired this Dave Hansen, who's pretty popular in the Major League Baseball hitting coaches realm. Okay, he's been with the Seattle Mariners. He's been with the Dodgers as a hitting coach. I think he got fired with the Dodgers, and I don't know why. And then he got kind of asked to leave with the Mariners. Even though I saw some numbers there that he helped out the Mariners quite a bit while he was there. His big thing is plate discipline, which is pretty popular with hitting coaches. They don't want to mess with the swings, so he works with plate discipline. And his big thing is that he can help hitters have more base on balls, which is part of the Moneyball formula, because you want better on base percentage. Now, this year, their on-base percentage went down while Dave Hansen was there. And their slugging percentage went down, and their team batting average went down. So, can we blame it on Dave Hansen? We don't know. We don't know quite yet because he's working with 3 other guys. We don't know if he just got his feet wet. We're going to give him another year, but I think he's the main guy that's really working with hitters, okay? And he's using some of his plate discipline magic, as they say, because the A's are what we're after him. The Oakland A's were after him, the Moneyball hitting team, and they know that he's got some statistics to prove that he can help with base on balls. Okay, so we'll see what happens. I don't know what he did with the Dodgers. He must not have done so well because they canned him. And with Seattle, he did do well. He was only there for a year, and then McClendon didn't want him back for some reason. But I did see some improvement with the numbers here, and I'm not seeing any improvement with the Angels at all. Okay, so something to look at. Something to look at. Let's talk about Josh Hamilton, because Hamilton right now is not even a role player. His numbers aren't even good enough to be a role player. Okay? He seems to have lost his confidence. He's lost the connection with his swing. He's disconnected. He doesn't, he's trying to do things that probably were already there, installed in him in his DNA, and he's trying to be cerebral probably about his hitting. Okay? Because I look these guys up on YouTube, and Hamilton is one of the major league hitters on YouTube who talks about hitting, and you'll see him doing T drills and stuff like that, and he talks about his hitting. He never talks about that he uses his hips or anything. He talks about his back arm. When he's hitting off the tee, he's hitting like load line drives. When he's actually a power hitter, he should be lifting the ball higher and stuff like that. So the way that he trains is, somewhat against how he has hit in the past, because he can lift the low ball up and out of the ballpark. He's been an MVP before, and he's hit 35, 40, 45 home runs before, But his numbers have slowly been going down ever since he's been with Texas. Okay, so my feeling is, and if he's where he should be, he's like one of the 4-star hitters, and that team could be unstoppable. Okay, so and I think Josh Hamilton is at the point where he really needs help, like a specialist, not a hitting coach or anything like that. He needs help, okay? And I think part of it's mental also, okay? And I'm by no means a psychologist, but I am smart enough to know this. Hamilton's had some problems over in his past, okay? A lot, maybe from childhood on up, and just a lot of stuff with depression and stuff like that. Okay. When you and he kind of covered it up a little bit by, whatever he did, drugs or whatever he was doing, drinking or whatever like that, just to get by. So when you stop the drugs and the drinking, all your problems come to the surface, and you have to deal with them. Okay. And I think that's what he's in the middle of. He's kind of talked about salvation and, leading a clean life and all that sort of stuff. Just because you start doing that doesn't mean that everything's going to go your way, type of thing. Okay? That means anything that was built up inside him will be coming up to the surface. And if he doesn't have the tools to deal with that mentally, it could push the wrong type of buttons, and you can get somewhat depressed, and things may happen like you can't hit, and that leads to some sort of depression. So he's got to be totally depressed in other ways now that he can't hit. Okay? So he can't be doing well because it's been over a year now that he's kind of totally lost it, type of thing. Okay? So he would need some mental tools on how to get past whatever is coming up and stuff. If he wants to lead the clean life and all that sort of stuff, he needs his creative energy forces back. Because when you lead a clean life, okay, your life kind of gets boring a little bit. All right? So go ahead and go to church every day. You know, you might feel good about yourself for a little bit, then you just be bored. All right? So that's kind of what he was, he was kind of like a fiery rebel type of guy. He had some piss and vinegar in him, and now he's this salvation type of guy, and he's dealing with what peace should be all about. You need a mixture of the peace and the piss and vinegar to be a professional athlete, hands down. You cannot be a peace activist without, and just lose your piss and vinegar, is what I'm trying to say. So he's dealing with that, okay? And I'm going to show you some videos in Moneyball Hitter Magazine, how we can get the piss and vinegar back, because Josh Hamilton does have some holes in his swing. They're minor, but when you go through a depression period, those minor ones become major. So Josh Hamilton is what we call a linear hitter who pops his hips right on time. There's been a lot of really good and some great hitters that do that, and most of the major league hitters actually do that when they put a good swing on the ball. Okay, but here at Moneyball Hitter Magazine, we like to sit back more. We do not like to attack the ball out in front, because most hitters cannot do that. You have to be a really, really, really good athlete to control your body when you leak out in front like Hamilton does. Okay? So we're going to kind of compare him to the Barry Bonds swing. Barry Bonds really stays back on his back leg, as opposed to Hamilton drifting forward. So I would never really say anything to Hamilton about it, unless, he's on a year drought, so something needs to be done. Okay? And that might pick up and put him back into a flow type of thing. Okay? Because when he hits those bombs, if you've ever seen him in home run derbies, he's laying back on the back leg. He's not drifting forward. So, I've just noticed that he drifts forward too much. He swings at bad pitches, can't hit the off-speed pitch, and now he's thinking about what he should be doing in his swing, and he knows nothing about what he's doing in his swing. He really doesn't. And most of these guys really don't. They're professional athletes. It's in their DNA. Their swing is in their DNA. Everything connects really, really good when they're being their outstanding selves. Okay? So here at Moneyball, we either show hitters how to get to their outstanding potential. Okay? Their potential is at least every hitter out there. If you're listening to this, and if you're a coach, you should know this too. Every hitter out there is potentially can hit 50 points better than they normally can. At least. Okay? At least. Every hitter has like their own type of DNA. So, one hitter might be like a 250 lifetime hitter. One other hitter could be a 300 lifetime hitter. You can change your DNA. If this is too much for you, shut it off. Okay? You can change your DNA through proper technique. Okay? I don't know if any hitting coach has ever said that. Okay? So the 250 hitter, we can get them up to the 300 level. So they are rising above what they normally are. Okay? And with Hamilton, and a lot of players, there's a lot of Hamilton's not the only one that loses it. I mean, there are at least 30% of the players in Major League Baseball lose it, and then they're out. They're out of the major leagues, or they're out of the lineup, or they're struggling. Okay, like a Curtis Granderson, he's another guy. He lost his outstanding potential, and every hitting instructor in the Sun has tried to get him back, and he got worse. Okay, so I don't know who Hamilton's working with or whatever, but whatever's going on, it's getting worse. Mechanically too, along with the mental. Okay? So, I don't know if all that makes sense to you, but we're pretty confident that we'd be able to fix the problem and screw Hamilton's head on straight. Okay? So that's that. So, notice the trend here though. Notice the trend. The Angels, I don't care if they were the #1 team 3 years ago or whatever. The last 2 years, they've gone down 10 points and another 10 points last year. 20 point deduction. That's not good. Okay? And with the talent that they have, a lot of the blame should go on the hitting coaches. Okay? Don Baylor, and I'm sure that Don, you need help because your physical problems that you have and the fact that you really don't mess with mechanics. You got 2 other assistants that are going to help out. Are they going to get along? Are they on the same page? Do you know how hard it is to get hitting coaches on the same page? It's pretty hard. They may agree in the beginning, and then when the shit hits the fan and things start to go wrong, then they start to separate. So what is it? Is a couple hitters going to one guy and a couple hitters going to another guy type of thing? Is that what's going on? I don't know. But all I know is Major League Baseball has gone to the 2-3 hitting coach type of guy, and it's getting worse. Oh my God! Trying to solve the problem. Well, let's throw some more cooks in the pot. These guys need help, and it's getting worse. I think the Atlanta Braves are like one of the first teams to start doing that. Okay, and boy, did they go in the toilet when that happened. All right, isn't this funny stuff? Huh? I'm glad. I already know this stuff. I'm just telling you all the truth about it. All right? And some of you say, oh, well, he's just guessing and stuff like that. Not really. Okay? I've been through enough. I've coached over 100 teams. I know the types of coaches, managers, hitting coaches, players, what they say about coaches. I know the psychology of everything. And I could just tell. Okay? So, unless Hamilton gets his swing back, I see some trouble because Pujols is getting old. He's not going to be able to put those numbers up. All right? Trout can't hold those numbers that he's putting up for so long, can he? Yeah, he's young. Maybe he can. I don't know. So, and we don't know how many of these players are going to stay with the team and stuff like that. But there's potential trouble offensively from what I'm seeing here and the trend. I just can see the trend. All right. So, but it's a team that can get it. It's a team that can get it back. We'll see what happens. And thanks for joining me today. Talk to you next time.